All right, we used to do this back in the day when we first started. Recap college and pro football all in one day. We're going to do that today. We've been doing it separately lately because we do Aaron's college football games of the week on Wednesdays, but it's top of mind. Let's get it out. Let's get it over with. Lots of changeover. I think it was like, what, 6 top ranked teams went down over the weekend, and then we did pretty well in our Westgate Super Contest as well. Alabama, Aaron, you called it. They were on upset alert. Missouri almost pulled it off, and they think they should have. Just fell a little short. Terrible interception at the end of the game for Alabama to ice it. But Missouri, man, they were pretty phenomenal. That was a lucky one that Alabama walked away with 27-24. I got to say...
I was just going to say, Rome, I think you're just glossing over biggest story right now. I mean, you're talking Alabama. James Franklin getting fired.
Oh, that's right.
I don't think anything's bigger than Penn State right now. There's a lot of stuff that happened this weekend we can talk through. But in context.
Surprised?
Well, not surprised, but I want to take you back.
I'm surprised.
Well, 15 days ago, this team was ranked number 3 in the nation, national title contender, had a massive game. They were leading a top 10 team by a touchdown in overtime in front of 110,000 people. And now they're 3-3 and they fired their head coach. Like, the turn that took for Penn State is
quick,
just insane. And Franklin lost the team. I mean, the loss to Oregon was one thing. They were up 24-17 in that game, like I said, in overtime. But the UCLA loss, followed by this Northwestern loss this last week, it just crazy how quick it was. We were talking after that Oregon loss. I think you brought it up to me, and I'm like, there's no way they fired this guy. And there was a tweet out there was basically what I said, like, this guy's job is basically win 10 games a year and be the 10th to 12th team in the country, and you keep your job. That's where it's at. And so you win 10 games, you're probably not getting fired. And that's kind of Penn State can be the, 2nd to 4th team in the Big Ten, usually sitting at the number 3 team in the Big Ten. But man, the wheels fell off and they fell off bad. And for a $50 million buyout to get rid of James Franklin, where they're at right now, just crazy where college football is at. And I only saw a couple tweets on this too, but the rumor was Adidas played a big part of this too. I don't know if that's
why,
substantiated. I don't know. I mean, they got the money to do, but they're falling fast, and maybe it's a premier brand for them. But Penn State wanted to move, and they expected this team to be a national title contender. I think all of us picked them to go to the college football playoff.
Yeah,
they were supposed to contend. I'm pretty sure
their year.
I think I picked them to go to the national championship game, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, that's an all-time bad take for me. But biggest story of the week, in my opinion, because for everything that went south, and there was a lot of great games and some big upsets. But man, that one it turned quick in the matter of a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about over the last couple weeks, Mike Gundy, he got canned. Sam Pittman in Arkansas. I mean, last week we basically put Billy Napier on the hot seat. James Franklin, we did not expect him to lose to UCLA. I mean, they lost 2 games in context as 3 touchdown or more favorites. I mean, Northwestern's not a good football team. UCLA, well, maybe UCLA's found something because they've looked good these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think the Northwestern was probably a bigger shock.
UCLA
had another good game, and now
they lose the quarterback Outler for the season. He's out of a leg injury. So, I mean, and Pitt State made a lot of changes. I mean, James Franklin, I saw a stat, I think since the year 2021 or 2020, he's like the 4th winningest coach in college football behind basically Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, and then there's James Franklin. So to go from, semifinal getting beat by Notre Dame in a close game to basically 3-0, like Jaeson said, number 3 ranked team up in overtime at home in a wideout to literally you're wide out, you're done. Your name's they whited your name out, you're done, you're out. You're out of a job at Penn State. It's insane. It definitely is insane. It's gonna be interesting to see who they get to fill the void. I mean, I gave you a candidate last week, Rome, that I think it should be their top target.
Freeman.
I don't see him leaving Notre Dame, but Marcus Freeman would be the first call I make. I think he's the top guy if you're going to make a big splash hire. Your guy Matt Rule at Nebraska is being mentioned for the role.
Oh man.
So we'll see. We'll see what Penn State does, but college football is now, we're paying money, we're paying big money. If we don't see results, you're out, and people are paying the buyouts. I mean, there's a lot of coaches that are on the hot seat. We've mentioned Billy Napier, Mike Norvell from Florida State. They've now lost 3 in a row. He's probably.
Well, that's right.
I will say that if he loses this weekend at Stanford, he'll be out of a job for sure. He won't be on the flight back. So if they lose in Palo Alto this weekend, he'll be out of a job. That's a guarantee. But I think they're going to win that game. But yeah, we're going to see, man. There's a lot of coaches. It'd be interesting. I mean, I don't see him getting fired in Texas anytime soon, but Steve Sarkisian got that big win. If that season had tumbled down, would Texas think about moving off him? You're basically putting your hands, like they said, in basically 18 to 22-year-olds, or some cases 24-year-olds now, but you're getting paid big money. And if you're not showing results on a continuous basis, especially when the stakes are high, like teams are moving off you quick, man. These boosters, this NIL, the money that's coming up.
That's a tough. It's just. I'm just really curious though, like what it was like. There has to be something else besides they're just not happy that they lost 3 straight games in a row, back to back, where they're double-digit favorites.
It has to be that because James Franklin's been at Penn State for what? 10 years, 12 years, 8 years?
Yeah, it's been something like that. I mean, he took over after O'Brien left, and man, he was with the Texans for a while. So,
and I think O'Brien was only there for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, because Penn State, like we mentioned, was a mess. Then they had the scandal, right? The Joe Pa and that whole scandal, and then Bill O'Brien took over and kind of righted the ship a little bit. They're winning 7, 8 games. And then James Franklin came from Vanderbilt, which Vanderbilt hadn't been good since he left there. He won there at Vanderbilt, which nobody had won until the current coach there has. So we'll see. I mean, I think James Franklin's going to get another job. There'll be questions of where he goes, but I mean, Penn State, is it that great of a job, or is the expectations there so high? We'll see.
I was trying to look. He's been at Penn State, so he's been there since
2014.
Seasons.
Yeah,
2014.
Yeah, so he has the second highest buyout after Jimbo Fisher's $76 million, $49 million. That's a lot.
Well, I think Jason.
That's not true. He's not even in the top 10.
No, but for it to actually happen.
Oh, it actually happened. Yes.
Yeah.
He's got a $50 million buyout.
Yeah, there's about I think a dozen coaches that are like 50 million or more from a buyout perspective.
And he had a terrible ranking against top 10 teams.
Yeah, that was his thing. I think even
Achilles
just
heel.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the college football playoff last year for his 2 wins to start it were his biggest ones at that point.
So he was 4 for 21 against top 10. AP top 10, 1-18 against Big Ten top 10 teams. That's a 16% winning percentage. 3rd worst record by a coach since the poll era began in 1936. Do you think he lost the locker room? Do you think it was just, I don't know. What are they going to do for the rest of the season? They just thought it wasn't salvageable?
I mean, at this point, you're playing for the college football playoff or nothing. And so you lose 3 games, they're done. They're not making the college football playoff. So, they'll make maybe a bowl game here at this point, but, they're going to be moving on to next season. And where it becomes the cycle of coaching becomes not conducive to the current season is they need to get the coach soon, because you're going to be talking about the recruiting class of next year.
Opens up at the end of November.
Well, there was already a recruit, I think, that said basically that day they lost or something, where he's like, I know Penn State's I'm no longer committed. I'll be opening up for some visits and stuff like that. So it impacts incoming recruits, for what they're losing, but then, hey, you got to get the new guy in. And now it's about maintaining what you have, because it's not only recruiting the new people coming in. Part of the rumors Nick Saban left was because you're recruiting the guys that you have in your program to stay and not take a larger offer somewhere else to potentially start or things like that. So I think the infrastructure and what a new coach needs to come in and bring, they need to start the search. And I think that's where they're at, is hey, this guy was tepid. he's done this. We need to move on. Now we have October and maybe a little bit of November, and then they need to name a coach by, beginning, middle of November for that recruiting class starting in December, and what's going to be the path forward.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting's big, and now the transfer portal is just one window, right? I think it's late between December and January now, between the playoffs.
They got rid of one of them, but there's still a couple.
The spring window's gone. It's just one. No, they voted on it and they approved only one. So there's only one transfer window. I believe it's like December 2nd through January 2nd, whatever it is.
That's dumb.
So, and then, National Signing Day, the early one is what, December, mid-December? So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what they end up doing. I mean, they got to get a coach in there. And I've read that a lot of these programs are now moving off of coaches. That way recruits know, like, okay, hey, this guy's gone. We're going to bring in somebody new. And what Jaeson said, I mean, you're recruiting the players on your staff, and you got to get boosters, right? Boosters produce money, and if they're not happy with the current situation, well, you're not going to be able to buy players to come in. So that's kind of how it works, right? I mean, if they're not spending money, then you're not getting the money to bring the players in. So, Rome, you asked what could be wrong, why they make the move. Well, your donors could basically be saying, hey, you want my money? James Franklin's got to go. And at the end of the day, money talks, and James Franklin's got to walk. And that's just how it goes.
They must have been so devastated after that loss.
Yeah, Aaron's right. One transfer portal between January 2nd to the 16th, which is crazy. I think some of the commentaries about this, like the college football playoffs still going on. And so those guys are like actively putting, I think even your guy, Matt Rule in Nebraska, basically gave a quote of, quote, we're going to have to be playing players getting paid by two different teams in the same year because the different windows that they're like paying players from a revenue standpoint. So, yeah, there's some goofiness that'll be going with it, but if it gets it down to one, yeah, they got to have things in place because that whoever that new coaching staff, they got to be able to be hitting the portal start of the year.
Well, yeah, I mean this portal benefits teams that don't make the playoff, I guess, because you can kind of recruit these guys versus if you're already in the playoff, it's kind of hard. I mean, you got obviously these guys got scouting guys and probably telling you like, hey, dude, this guy wants to come here. This is the price for him. But Penn State's not going to the college football playoff. I mean, they got 3 losses in conference, so they're done. They're not getting to the Big Ten championship game, so they don't have to worry about the playoff. That's done deal. They're out. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of, remember they had the spring transfer portal window open. Remember, Dion was like, hey, we're not going to do a spring game because I don't want coaches being able to see tape on which guys are good and sneakily calling their family or DMing them and saying, hey, enter the transfer portal. We got more money than these guys. So that's kind of why they got rid of all these transfer portal windows. You get the recruiting early signing period in December, the transfer window in early January, and then you're done. So you've got to set your roster, your limit, your money. So that's why a lot of these coaches are going to get fired in season college football. I think it's going to be a new trend where you don't have to wait till after Thanksgiving weekend to get rid of guys.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm good on Franklin talk. Let's transition back to the games. Biggest win.
Indiana.
It was nice, dude. They dominated.
Yeah, it was a big win. Last year, it was kind of questioned were they actually a good team or not because they didn't really beat anyone. It was the MO. They got into the playoff and went out early versus Notre Dame. And so that was the entire question this year. Would they be any good? And this is kind of the signature win for Cignetti and that whole team. And now with Penn State falling out, they beat Oregon. Now you got, hey, it's them versus Ohio State to a degree for who's going to be, top dogs here. And they got a favorable schedule down the stretch. They're going to get Michigan State, UCLA, even though, Rome's UCLA Bruins, they may have found something here. But, there's a favorable schedule for Indiana down the road for them to go undefeated and get into the Big Ten championship game probably versus Ohio State, and that being the ultimate showdown, for who gets the first round bye in the college football playoff. But yeah, Aaron's right. That was the biggest win of the weekend because I think it was a statement game. Oregon had looked good all year. That Penn State win looked a lot better 10 days ago, maybe, or something like that. But now not so much. But yeah, I think Aaron's definitely right in the Indiana call.
Yeah, it's a huge one for Indiana, right? I mean, we mentioned last year, cupcake schedule, played 2 games, got blown out at Ohio State, got blown out in the playoff by Notre Dame, had hadn't been blowing people out as bad as they did last year. They just played what Iowa 2 weeks ago was an ugly 20-15 win. Iowa kind of has games like that. We weren't sure if they could go into Oregon. I mean, Oregon at home in Eugene had been blowing people out. Had the win over Penn State, which, like Jason said, doesn't look as great as it does today then as it does today. But yeah, so huge win for Indiana. I mean, that's the biggest win definitely for the weekend. But I mean, if you're Oregon, is it a bad thing if maybe you get eliminated from the Big Ten championship game? I don't think it's a bad thing because you still get in the playoff. You get to host a home game. You saw what happened to Oregon last year as the number 1 seed. They got stuck with Ohio State after the bye. So I don't think it's the end of the world. If you're Oregon, you get to host a home game, kind of keep that momentum going, and you're not off for like 28, 30 days and you get to play it after 3 weeks.
Indiana. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I drove you guys nuts last year talking about that. Is like the best thing is to not be in the conference championship game because hey, you don't have to risk the loss and where your seating is gonna be. So if Oregon, who has a fairly favorable schedule down the stretch, they got to travel all the way to Rutgers, which just from a distance standpoint, is not the most ideal thing, but their biggest games will be against USC and, I guess Washington potentially at the end of the season. So they got a path to be 11-1, don't make the Big Ten championship game. And then, hey, they're sitting at what, the 5th or 6th or 7th seed or something like that and host the game like there. And like, there's a little strategy behind it. And I think we'll be definitely talking about that as we get towards what those conference title games will be like. I'm guessing at a certain point, once we expand this playoff, likely we'll be getting rid of these conference championship games. I've long hated them because they're overall, useless. But yeah, I think from a strategy standpoint, it's not the worst loss for Oregon right now as they head down the stretch with a favorable schedule.
I like to submit a few other games that were like pretty big victories. I think the Alabama went over Missouri, just making out alive. That's huge, 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 huge. Missouri's still a really good team, but man, Alabama's got to be really fortunate. Also, did not see it coming. Texas beating out Oklahoma. Me and Aaron, we didn't think Mateer was actually going to come back. He just had surgery 2 weeks ago. Like, I thought they brought him back a little too soon.
He
had a couple interceptions.
He probably shouldn't have been playing, Rome. He did not look good.
He did not look good. He did not look like the guy that could have been leading the Heisman voting before he went out. I'm not sure if that was a really good play on that, but Texas looked phenomenal and just like, dude, like what version of I'm not going to talk about Texas. I'm done with that one.
Well, I want to go back. I want to go back to Alabama because I dismissed him at the start to talk about James Franklin, and now we kind of move past him there too. But I think overall, when you're looking at what they've done last 3 games, really, because you lose at Ohio or Florida State to start the year, they're calling for Kellen DeBoer's job down in Alabama, and this team's theirs. We're not.
We were pretty rough on him too.
I don't think we were that rough. I don't think we're anything near what Alabama fans, compare to the expectation. But, they got the unicorn of unicorns with Nick Saban and the way that program was operating for, over a decade. And it isn't like that anymore. You can't be as dominant as you were. You're in the NIL era. You can't pay backups to backups to backups. I mean, look at the NFL stars that they had backing up other NFL stars there. You don't have that. But if you look at the last 3 games, they beat a Georgia team, one of the top in the nation. Vanderbilt was, sneaky, and they got the revenge win. Aaron was hyping up this Missouri team, which is very good too. They're going to have Tennessee coming up next year. Like, this could have gone off the rails for DeBoer, just like Franklin, frankly, at that point. If he would have lost like 2 or 3 of these games or something like that, there would have been even more. So they bounced back from that Florida State loss. They put a string together in the SEC, which is impressive. These turn into the stretches where you talk about strength of conference. It's not over for them because they got Tennessee, like I said, at South Carolina is not an easy game. Then versus LSU, and maybe Oklahoma's a little easier than we thought going into this week. But I think you give props to them as a big win too, because if they go through unscathed and only have 1 loss, maybe 2, I think Alabama's probably automatically into this playoff as well too. So I think that'll maybe take the pressure off of Kalen DeBoer, for what the Bama fans. What was that one lady? She won the lotto. Her first thing was going to be payout. Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, big win for Alabama. I mean, yeah, they can. I mean, look, they can lose at least 1 more game and still make the playoff. But yeah, I mean, they go into Missouri. I think Missouri had won 15 straight home games. Missouri's coming off a bye, was unbeaten. We said this was going to be a test. It was a battle. Rome, you mentioned that quarterback with a bad pick late. They could have got into field goal range there. They had time to kind of tie that game up. So give Bama credit. I mean, they won at Georgia, got revenge on Vanderbilt, going to Missouri and win. That's why I think they got what their number 6 ranked now again, Bama, in the new poll. I think I saw. Yeah, number 6. So, Bama's looking good. I mean, the SEC is loaded. I mean, I don't know what Ole Miss was doing. I mean, they were still on a bye against that Washington State team. I mean, that got real tricky. They almost slipped up in that game. You know, Lane Kiffin always kind of slips up in games where we don't see it coming.
Slow after bye weeks, dude. They're the only team that looks that bad.
Washington State's a game they should have won by 30-something points because they were favored by 32. I mean, that game took them down to the wire, and Washington State's a bad team. But I still like Ole Miss. But we'll see what ends up happening there. Texas A&M, nice win against Florida, holding them off. That was a tougher game than people think came in that matchup.
Good win.
LSU, Brian Kelly continues to win. I think he's 23-2 in home games at LSU. Tennessee got a win over Arkansas. So I mean, the SEC, I don't know who the best team is in the conference. Georgia too got a win over Auburn, and controversy fashion down there, but. The SEC, I don't know who the best team is in that conference, but it's got about 4 or 5 teams that can make the playoff and beat anybody any week, really, in that conference.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as things shake out because a couple of these, schedule you look at, like you mentioned Ole Miss, and where's the Lane Kiffin slip up going to be? They only got 2 ranked. Yeah, I mean, you got 2 ranked teams coming up with Georgia, Oklahoma. Let's say they lose the Georgia game. Win Oklahoma. They split those. They get South Carolina. They're playing the Citadel, Florida, and then at Mississippi State. A bunch of unranked teams for Ole Miss coming up. Hey, they're 11-1. Probably good there. Bama, Aaron said, they may be losing 1 game on their stretch. They're 10-2. Probably in. Texas A&M, they're 6-0, 3-0 in the SEC right now. They got LSU, Missouri, and Texas kind of down the road. So where does that look? I mean, they got some games, but hey, they lose 1. You'll have a decision to make of how many SEC teams are potentially in and what's the strength of schedule because they could get pretty tight. They're going to knock each other off, but Ole Miss could be 11-1, and then you got a bunch of two-loss teams. It'll be the SEC is going to want like 6 teams in this thing.
I think we'll see a 3-team loss team.
Well, I mean, look, the Big Ten's getting 3 teams, right? I mean. Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon.
Yep.
The ACC is getting 1 in Miami, unless somebody knocks them off. The Big 12 probably just getting Texas Tech or whoever wins the conference championship. I don't see another team at large sneaking in from the Big 12. So that's 5 teams right there. Then you get the group of 4, so that's 6. So does that leave 6 teams from the SEC? I think the SEC is going to get 5 this year. If they have 5 teams that have 2 losses or less, I think they'll get 5 in.
I think the question against these conference title games, you remember Clemson winning the conference championship game last year really, I think, probably knocked out Bama. Was probably one
knocked out Bama,
because of them getting in.
It
was one or the other.
I think it was Bama, then Ole Miss right behind them.
Yeah, but them getting in threw everything off because then 2 ACC teams got in where it was probably only going to be SMU if they would have won, and then Miami obviously messed up their chances. So I think there's a lot to be said in those last couple of weeks of like if anything happens in one of those games and you get those automatic bids or conference championships, I think that'll be probably some determining factor whether it's 5 or 6 or whatever for the SEC. But Aaron, I want to ask you one thing though. Florida State, man. 0-3 in the ACC.
What's up, man? What's up with your team?
Yeah, I mean,
they're looking hot, and now they're not.
Yeah, I mean, Rome, we mentioned they lost to Virginia, a game that, I was worried about. Miami's been the best team. I mean, Pittsburgh's a team they should have beaten. Freshman quarterback goes in there and beat them, but, down 4 of their top 5 wideouts and their top tight end. Got real conservative in the second half offensively and just try to run the ball the whole game. Didn't really open it up, maybe because, the wide receivers they had playing, they just didn't have any confidence in. I mean, some of those guys only had 2 catches on the year.
Even on the final drive, dude, they just look lost. I'm gonna be
Well, yeah, I
caught
mean,
like
that's, I
Norval's
mean,
just on the sidelines. I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? They're just like laying the clock just tick away, precious time. The play calling was shit. It was so
yeah,
weird.
the play calling wasn't good. The defense was terrible. I mean, I saw the defensive coordinator came out today, basically on his conference. I haven't watched it, but I kind of read a little transcript and basically just said, "Hey, look, I didn't let him be free. I didn't let him attack. Put it on me. I'm saying it right now. If they lose at Stanford Saturday, Norvell will be guaranteed fired. He won't be on the plane flight back. They'll leave him. They'll leave him with Newsome in that California and just leave him there because
You
that's
asked,
that's where he's going to stay.
you basically answered my question. Like, what's the losses going to be? He's got a $64 million buyout currently right now, according to sources online. So they're ready to buy him out. This was a guy that was supposed to get the Alabama job potentially. 2 years later, they're going to fire him.
I don't think he's in the hot seat yet.
He's very much on the hot seat.
Yeah,
Norvell is very much on the hot seat. Like I said, if he loses to Stanford, yes, he's gone. I mean, they basically got Stanford and Wake Forest. They should win before they go at Clemson. I mean, at Clemson, it's going to be a tough game. Clemson seems to right the ship now. They're playing pretty well. Then they got Virginia Tech, NC State, Florida. I think he's got to get Norvell to at least 7 wins to save his job. 6 probably puts him in a question mark. But if they lose, Stanford's a terrible football team. I mean, Stanford sucks. So if he loses that game, that's a late night game. Maybe Rome, you could show up that game in Palo Alto. But I'm looking at it right now. They're like a 17.5-point favorite. So if he loses that game, he's out. Yeah. And a lot of people, fan base does want Norvell out. But I think the buyout's a lot of money. And coming off a 2-10 season last year, I mean, the goal was, hey, you got to get at least bowl eligible this year, I think, to save his job.
So bowl eligible, you're
they
saying
should be
saves
bowl.
X.
They should be bowl.
Well, so you get 6 wins to be bowl eligible?
Yes.
So
It's not enough, though, man.
So Stanford, Wake Forest, next 2 should be wins. Virginia Tech, North Carolina
They
State.
should beat Virginia Tech and NC State. That's 7. At Florida is going to be tough. At Clemson is going to be tough. But guarantee he loses to Stanford, he's done. That will definitely put the nail in his coffin.
Interesting. I don't think it was that hot. Guess I'm wrong. You got the.
I mean, let me put it this way. Let me just put it this way to you, Rome. They lose to Stanford, you might want to go interview him, get him on the show, because that's the only podcast he's going to jump on is this one after that if they lose that game.
That'd be awesome, actually.
I don't know why you're surprised, Rob. They won how many games last year, Aaron? 2?
2 games.
Well,
And only one against an FBS opponent, California.
So compare him versus James Franklin. Franklin was in the semifinals of the college football playoff last year.
That's why
and he lost.
So
and he lost
they
3
just
games.
Fired him, yeah.
And so Norvell, man, he was 2 wins last year, and he's at the same 3-3 record right now.
Well, think of it. They were robbed out of a chance to compete for a national title.
I think
they had that season of hell last year to follow up, even though they had a lot of guys, returning. No one was having expectations for this year, but they came out hot out of the gates. We're like, all right, cool. Even we were like, dude, Florida State looks like a top 5 team here. And
they got the number 8. They got the number 8 right
like,
before Virginia beat them.
Hold on here. Maybe a top 10 team. Let's see what happens. And then ever since you said that, 3 straight losses. Like it's wild. It's wild.
I told you, Rome. I think if you look at Florida State's top units, they can play with anybody in the top 25. But like I mentioned, they were out 4 of their top 5 wideouts, tight ends for the game against Pitt, and it showed. They lost Deuce Robinson, who basically averages almost like 150, 200 yards a game receiving. They lost him in the second quarter. They're without their main tight end, Pittman, who's their number 2 target. So they just ran the ball. It became very predictable, just ran the ball the whole time. But going back to Norvell, I mean, he was on the hot seat. Then he went 10-3, 13-0. They won 19 straight games. Got robbed, as you mentioned, of the playoff. Had the disastrous season last year. And then basically people are kind of like down on him. And then he beats Alabama, which,
crazy, man.
You look how good Alabama looks right now. So if Norvell somehow does get 7-8 wins,
I think 7's good.
I think 7 probably saves his job. I mean, this recruiting class looks pretty good. They've done pretty well in NIL, but he's got to win. He's definitely got to win to save his job.
All I gotta win. Forgot how that song goes.
All I do is win.
There you go. All I do is win.
But now it's I gotta win.
That's
I'm gonna lose my
Signetti.
job.
Yeah, Signetti is all he does is win. Was he have the quote "Google me" or something like that?
Yeah,
All I do is
he's
win
so
or something like that.
Hey, Penn State, he's
And then
the
he followed
target
up,
there.
All I do is win. I don't want to see him go to Penn State.
He's a target for Penn State.
I
Yeah.
don't want to see that. I don't think that's a good fit.
Really?
Hey, all the guy does is win. I think it's a great fit if you're Penn State. If I'm Penn State, I just put a big old billboard with Google me and fucking Chris McGinney's head right there. That would be my sales pitch to him, and then a big old suitcase full of cash.
I don't know why, like the Penn State, and this has nothing to do with anything. It's just the Penn State logo, the look, like the color scheme, like the name Penn State. It just looks like
It's very old school.
someone's like creepy but distinguished old uncle, but like you're like, dude, this guy looks like he touches kids on the side, and like that's what it feels like.
Rome, that story is true.
And and like it just grosses me out. I just like oh, there's something wrong with the pitcher. Like, yeah, I know he's a senator, but there's something going on behind the scenes. Like the Penn State, the whole just saying the name makes me sick. Or it's the Taco Bell that I just destroyed right now. But whoa, they messed up on my order. Not happy about it.
I'm pretty sure that's what's making you sick, though. Is the Taco Bell?
I always stick to 2 hard tacos, 2 bean burritos. Never been sick in my life. And these people put in a supreme burrito in there with like some weird mystery meat with like a hot Cheeto. Like that's not gonna be good. And nacho cheese. I don't even know what burrito that is.
But you ate it, Rome. That's
yeah, dude. I destroyed it, man. And asked for fire sauce. They just only gave me mild and hot. You only have one job, guys. All right. Any final thoughts on college football? You guys like the new top 25? Agree with it? Any complaints?
I don't think there's any complaints. It's kind of it's shaken out a little bit where you just got all undefeated or no loss teams across the board, minus Notre Dame 4-2 and Texas 4-2.
I'm surprised Texas is back in it.
I mean, when you look at, the Florida loss is bad, but they lost to the number 1 team in the country, Ohio State, and Florida's seen something a little better. So I don't know if it's the worst of losses, but the offense, I don't want to say they showed up, but it was a little more off life support than what had been said with the Texas offense here the last couple weeks.
Yeah, Texas, look, they lost at Ohio State and Florida. Granted, those are probably 2 of the top 10 toughest places to play in the nation. So they're not bad losses. Now, Florida's talented as any team in the country. And then Ohio State right now is the best team in the country. Defensively, what they're doing, I think they're giving up
they're way better than last year.
They were giving up like 5 points a game. Something that's what their opponents were scoring off them. Can't even score in the red zone. I think they're goal to goal. They get 95% of the stops inside the red zone. Teams don't get touchdowns. So, Texas, we'll see if they can win out, what happens with them. But, yeah, Arch Manning, that was his best game, I think, of the year against a good Oklahoma defense. He showed something there.
He had a good – I only saw highlights. I told you guys I'm not watching another Texas game for the rest of the year. I'm still pretty pissed from the Florida game. But, from what I saw or from what I heard, he was sharp, but he only had, 100 yards passing. It wasn't like anything. It wasn't like an air attack by any means.
100 yards passing. But I was looking at another team that made the top 25, and we talked about, I mentioned the 3 teams in the Big Ten, but Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska's a team. They've got a really nice schedule here.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, too. That's funny that you're talking about it.
So, they got that USC, UCLA, Penn State, Iowa at the end. If Nebraska can run the table, I believe they can get into the playoff. They're a brand enough team that people probably want to see them back in the playoff, but they got to win out. If I think Nebraska wins out, I would get them a nod into the playoff, but they got to win the rest of their games. I don't think they can have a slip up.
Yeah, if they win out. I don't even know what to think about UCLA right now. Northwestern, they have a good record right now. You said they're crap, but
Northwestern's not. Yeah, they're not any good.
His Minnesota trap game.
Where's it at? At Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Friday
trap
night
game. That's the worst case again.
at least USC visits, and like now you're talking about like two offenses that like to score a lot, so that'd be pretty fun to see. That should be a fun shootout. UCLA, if they keep on playing the offense the way they are playing now, who knows? That might be another one. Oh, that dude, I have to go to that game now. I have to go to that fucking game. It's Rose Bowl, November 8th.
Easy tickets. I mean, UCLA's.
Let's make it a pod night, guys.
New offensive
Nebraska,
new
UCLA.
I mean,
the whole pod there.
I think they just give out media passes for UCLA games still.
I'll hit them up. I'm definitely gonna hit them up.
I think they just give out tickets to UCLA games.
You guys are still talking shit.
Basically, but here's the thing:
motherfuckers. They give you shit. So my UCLA team, give them a break.
Hey, you get free tickets, but you do gotta buy it. You gotta buy a beer and a hot dog. That's part of the game plan that goes for donations.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do they even sell beer there?
It's a dry fucking stadium. I forgot.
No, that's why they can't get anybody in.
That's why we're always okay. So I just remembered why we went to UCLA games, because we got blitz out and tailgating. The last time I went to a UCLA game, oh my god, I remember.
I think they still. I think they sell alcohol now at the Rose Bowl. I think they started. I think they started doing that.
It might have been against USC. Back. Me and my cousins were there. We met some nice girls there. We took them back to I think LA somewhere. Had a great time. Somehow made it back to the San Gabriel Valley. That's when I started dating the baby mama. All right, never mind. That's
is that where you found her? Down there in the parking lot at the Rose Bowl? You thought she was a rose, but she really turned out to be a bowl.
Oh, that's the baby mama. No. I might have. Yeah, never mind. I used to be a player, but now I'm a player.
Yeah, they sell alcohol now at the Rose Bowl. I just looked it up.
Thank God.
I knew they had to. It's the revenue stream they can't afford not to have.
Bullshit.
Now.
Like, I was so pissed off that they didn't sell any beer. Like, I think we killed like 2 36 packs, like a bottle of like Don Julio or something. I can't do that anymore. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it looks like
we should really look into it. Nebraska, UCLA, November 8th. That's perfect. All right. I guess that's it then, huh?
Until Thursday or Wednesday or whatever day we're doing college. Maybe, Rome, this week you'll have your picks in on time, prepared, researched, so we can go undefeated in the circle pool.
I've been doing pretty good this year, but yeah, dude, I'm editing. I got lots of things going on.
It's fine. It's fine. We're doing very good, Aaron. What are we, 34th overall right now?
36, right? 36,
36. So we're doing fine. We're doing fine.
The last two, Jaeson does.
Okay.
So that's okay. We're doing good. We're getting a little bit run, figure out our swagger to get into the top 10. I think, what, we 2 games out of the top 10?
How many people have entered this again?
Huh?
How many people have entered this again?
1,080.
That's so awesome. That's pretty good.
Jaeson made a note, had Rome selected right, we would have been in the top 25. That is correct based off the standings. We would have been like in 19th place. I know Rome dismissed it, but no, I mean, the last 2 weeks were 11, 2 and 1. So we jumped from, as a group, like 300th place to 36. So
yeah,
we've been hot here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, the pick you guys hated, that did well. The pick you guys didn't care about, that did well. Who actually saw ASU getting their ass kicked like that? I thought
I said about their quarterback. I didn't like their action right off the bat.
Aaron said it right. Aaron said it right away, man. Although you guys were going back and forth over who said what and whatever other game. So
I was busy editing, man.
Yeah. Right. So Rome, you got 2 picks. Jason's got 3, and I got 2 this week. So
I kind of have an idea of who I'm going to go for already.
Any hints on that one?
Well, I've been testing out this website. They kind of play with like spreads.
All right. Like a little AI website where they simulate games. Yeah, is that the same website that told you Michigan was going to beat USC? Just curious on that one.
A
lot of people were backing Michigan.
No, it was pretty split on who's going to win that game, but it should not have been by that amount. And I didn't watch it, so I don't know what happened. Like I can't break down the play on that one. I wish I did. Like, I'm really curious, like, what happened to the Lions as well against KC. Gotta watch it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the college football lines yet this week, Rome. But I'll look at them tomorrow. That's when I start like kind of breaking down games.
Yeah,
I do see Nebraska's at Minnesota Friday, but
that's a stay.
Couple SEC games are talking to me right now.
Yeah, are you looking at right now?
Look at these early lines right now.
I'm gonna have to pull up the lines right now. Then you guys are getting me intrigued.
He's getting a little chub here.
Yeah, I am.
Couple SEC games.
I hear SEC and I get a little stiffy here. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The ACC makes me go limp, but the SEC gets me a little excited.
I'm really curious what the line is for Georgia Tech and Duke. I've been liking Georgia Tech, and they're so far undefeated. Up to number 12 now.
ESPN Bet right now says Duke minus 2.5.
Duke -3 I've got, but yeah, 2.5 -3, yes. Duke is at home.
Yeah. You know what? I feel bad for South Carolina because they just might be like barely hitting 6 wins this year.
Well, they're just
going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out every week, but it's just going to be like that down year. It's just
they got
experience
Oklahoma.
points.
They got Oklahoma this week. I'm seeing 5.5, the number there.
You know what? Georgia is
that's
due.
a good game right there. LSU Vanderbilt.
That's the one I was looking at, man. That's what I said. I was like, I like that one. Yep.
What's the spread?
2.5 for Vanderbilt? I don't know, man. To me, LSU should be favored.
That's disgusting. Well, they should be.
I got that one, Aaron. That's like Texas A&M right now. That's the other one I'm looking at too.
I'm looking at that one right now.
Ooh, I believe that's a neutral site game at Jerry's World in Dallas there. So that might even be better. It's not even at
Razorback
Arkansas.
Stadium.
It says Razorback Stadium.
Is that Razorback Stadium?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Traditionally, they used to play at Dallas, but okay.
Even that 7.5.
You like A&M, huh?
I do like A&M, man. Arkansas, I don't know. I think the interim coach boost is only going to be so much here.
I mean, the SEC's got some matchups this week. You got Ole Miss at Georgia. 6.5's the number there.
Who's getting it?
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's favored by 6.5.
Isn't Georgia due? Like they've
due for what? A loss?
They've been barely making it out. A few of these games.
This seems like a high spread to me. I like it off initial thought, but I like USC +8 against Notre Dame. That's a lot of points for Notre Dame to cover against a high-scoring USC team.
Yeah, didn't love Notre Dame in the first half last week. They were just, they were playing with NC State a little, and they came on big in the second half. But I don't disagree that out of Notre Dame's remaining games, this is the one that scares me because they lose, they're out. They got to win.
I think Notre Dame wins. I don't know if they cover 8. We'll see. I mean, USC's only lost one game by 1 point this year, so that's
about South Florida, Florida Atlantic. What's that?
Is that a Friday game?
22.5 for South Florida.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
22.5.
At least we kind of did some research right now.
The SEC's got a lot of games this weekend. A lot of big matchups. UCLA favorite at home against Maryland.
Wow.
What a turnaround for UCLA, man. What a turnaround.
There was a great tweet about, I think, just overall them having Neuheisel on the staff for the last 6 years.
Yeah, it started out like a GA.
Bomani Jones, his tweet was, the rare case where a program was too slow to lean on nepotism. And I think it's 100% accurate, man.
Really
you didn't know you got a genius offensive coordinator just sitting there in the background, bro.
You know what's crazy? No one even knows who the interim coach is for UCLA. Everyone thinks it's Neuheisel. He's getting all the press. This little Game of Thrones. What do you call him? The Baratheon?
Joffrey Baratheon, man.
Dude, he's 100% looks like he's. Yeah. All right. That's fun. I
mean, I guess the question is he playing himself in to be the full-time head coach?
I think they got good vibes on what's his name? Stark, their interim head coach. He has like cool black guy vibes, almost like Marone, but like cooler, like actually like level-headed and like not overly emotional. Like his post-game conference is pretty chill. He plays like 90 hip-hops with like inspirational lyrics. Seems like he has like a good vibe. I'm just curious, like what the hell was Deshaun Foster doing?
Don't know. Biggest question.
Did Adidas buy him out too, or what?
Maybe.
What was buy like $1.5 million, if that?
I think that's always the biggest question for UCLA. Do they have the resources to actually compete in this thing? Because they don't go out and get the big coaches from a money perspective, public institution.
Not coaches, no.
Well, really anything, because the UCLA athletics, we talked about like the debt they're in overall, and they like to compete in all the Olympic sports and everything where their money's at. and them not spending money in coaches and how that translates to the portal and stuff. That's a challenge when you're going against these Big Ten schools that are spending $50 million just to buy out a coach. He's not winning enough.
Yeah, I think it's got to change. I mean, like, who knows where college football is going to look like in the next 5-10 years? I mean, we've talked about it briefly, but is college football going to go to like a super league, right? Where just, the top 40 or 50 teams get in the league and that's it. And
well, you guys hear about the new Big Ten deal, right?
yeah, the $2 billion they got coming in.
Yeah, it's through the California Educator Pension Fund. It kind of limits, so they kind of own the rights, and you can't leave to create a super league. Like you might see a few more of those happen.
Well, I think it's like a 10-year agreement, right? But yeah,
it'll happen at some point. It's just going to be how long until it does. And you're already kind of there because they own the four major conferences, get 11 out of the 12 bids basically for the college football playoff, and they just kind of bring the other 5 conferences along into the fun a little bit, but you're already there. And then the Big Ten and SEC hold all the power in the room. The ACC and Big 12 are, secondary of the big guys to a degree.
Well, yeah. I mean, plus, let's just be honest. The ACC, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, they're all leaving by 2030 anyways.
Yep.
I mean, the buyout goes from whatever it is down to like 75 million. So they're all going to leave in the next 5 years and out of the conference. So the ACC's the next big probably conference domino to fall, and then it's kind of where does Florida State, Clemson go? Do they go to the SEC? Does the Big Ten want a team in Florida and get Miami and Florida State? That's kind of the next big domino here in the next 5 years.
Tits. That'll do it for Source on the Sofa, NFL recap, college football in the books. Catch college games of the week on Wednesday. Lions again with the boys on Thursday. And we'll try to forget whatever happened this past week.
We got to get a new supply for those Lions, Rome, because that supply we were on was not any good this week.
Thanks so much, guys. I'll do it for Source of the Sofa. Catch clips on YouTube. Some funny new clips out there. I've been pumping them out the last few weeks. Hopefully you guys are digging it. Ratings are climbing up as well. Full episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, college football and NFL separately on YouTube as well, and other select takes from the show. So be on the lookout. We are out.